We're not going to do a talk down. So it's
Yeah.
really just going to be a pretty quick and easy show today. So, and I'll preface that.
You say that, then you have me on. This is
That's true. That's true. That's true. I was like, when I said to my wife, I've got Sean on tonight to help instead of Neil, because she asked if I needed her again, and she was like, "Oh, that'll be nice." And I was like, "Yes, Sean is the only person who can talk more than me, so I don't know. We might be in trouble." Might be in real trouble. We might pick one topic and literally do a 2.5 hour show on it. I don't know.
I'll try to curve it. No promises, because
Right. Right. No
this
promises.
this mine cart's on one rail, and
Oh. Oh. The only thing that stops me is eventually I just get so fed up by talking about it that I just like sigh and just like shut down. And then I remember that the stopwatch is going. Okay.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming, and you have chosen, for whatever reason, to listen to another horrible gaming podcast. But I am not alone, nor am I ever. We've got kind of a special guest this week because, again, A Tiny Wizard is dealing with some personal stuff as well as some work stuff that he just could not make it tonight. And I understand, although his schedule is going to hopefully iron out a little bit next week. But with me is, for 1 week only,
C-Town 1980.
C-Town 1980. Welcome to the show. You've been a big fan. We interviewed you for one of our fan interview shows.
Half your listeners have just turned off because they're like, "Oh, this nerd again."
If they're not turning off for me, man, I don't think they're going to turn off for you. I think you're safe. Although you guys are about to hear a lot of anger, like, because now there's no like calming force in this duo right now. Like, Neil's a calming force for me. There's no calming force here. It's just gonna be escalation until my kid eventually wakes up. Like, that's gonna be
Prepare for two old men yell at the gaming industry.
yeah, that's basically it. But before we get into it, we got to do some credits. Number one, if you are watching this on YouTube, behind the fancy timestamps, you will see some fancy graphics. Now, some of those I have ripped from the internet like any other American would. But anything that was custom made for our channel was produced by Mr. Mark Bell. We thank him for that. And then, of course, the theme song for this show and all of the shows you hear here at OMG is provided by the man who makes the music, my brother, Nick Van Sliders. We thank him for that.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so this is going to be kind of a little bit of a downer here, guys. Bear with us. We lost a friend. But that brings us to Fanteraction, our most important segment. And as I said last week, in honor of the loss of Kev Too Tall, Kevin Kaiser, the Secretary of Defense, we disabled comments because he was always such a commenter. He was so prevalent in our podcast commenting that just seemed like the right thing to do. Kind of like a salute to him. So there are not a ton of comments. I do want to just one more time, just to give these people their fairness. I don't even know if they're listening. They might have just listened for this show or not. But we had a lot of people jump into Discord to give support for Kevin and such a wonderful person. And I'm going to read some of these out real quick, and then I want to say thank you. First, Cheese Dog in the Discord said, "It was nice hearing Kevin's voice again on that podcast. I miss that nerd," parentheses. And then he just told me where he came from. Then Asylum jumped into the Discord just to say, "Thanks, Zach, for honoring Kev. You did a great job." And then Madison Hart Thank you for honoring my uncle. It means a lot. If you don't know who I am, I'm Madison, his niece. I watched the video. You did a good job. I do want to say to everybody who said those wonderful things, thank you. I had a really hard time with that show. I didn't ever feel like I was doing enough to honor Kevin. He was such a great guy, and he was such an important part of this channel and what we do here. So thank you very much for listening to that episode, enjoying that episode, and letting me know that it was worthy of the great man that was Kev Too Tall. So, with that, I think we're going to move on. Just have a nice, quick fan interaction there. Guys, fan interaction will get back to normal next week. Comments are on for this channel, for this episode, so feel free to comment. And just one more time, we all miss Kev Too Tall so much.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Alright, so that brings us to our first topic. I know what you guys are thinking, man, this show is going by fast. And like I said, might go by fast, might go by longer, but I figured we just do one subject. We do the odds and ends that I have, which I think I have like around 4. Both me and Sean are known to be very loquacious when it comes to the use of our vocabularies, so I'm sure we will get plenty of time in for your listening pleasure. So, with that said, talking point number 1. It has been recorded now, and it is public knowledge that Star Citizen, this kind of early access startup game that's kind of in the vein of, I can never remember the name of it, Eve?
No, it's Wing Commander. That's really what it's based on.
Wing Commander. Yeah. It's still in the vein of those star exploration games like Elite Dangerous and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's Space Simulator, basically.
Well, this sucker has recorded over $400 million. It has raised for itself. $400 million, and it has not come out. It is still not released, but it has made $400 million for itself. And so, me and Sean did not have a lot of time to prepare for this episode, guys, just so you know. So I just decided to do a topic kind of based show instead of a more news-based show. And I want to just break down the pros and the cons of early access. Like, is this right or is this wrong? And I know that Sean has some pretty militant thoughts on Star Citizen. So I really wanted to also talk about it because I'm pretty sure we can get a pretty good rant out of it from Sean.
Oh,
I keep calling you Sean. C-Town, sorry. C-Town's name is Sean, guys. I'm sorry.
Either way.
So what do you think, C-Town? Like, why don't you get the rant? I'll let you go first.
Okay, first off, Star Citizen is not early access in the least. It has been in continual beta, or alpha even in some cases, forever. They've split the team into 2. This was a kick-started game originally.
Okay.
And it made its budget because, again, made by the developer of Wing Commander, a very legendary space simulator combat game. And the longer this has gone on, the more I just keep hearing higher numbers. There have been instances of, I think, the UK actually stepped in because of possible mislabeling of advertisements of ships they were selling, which they're doing microtransactions, which are, some of them are ludicrous, and I wouldn't consider them micro in the least for ships in the game. And you got to understand, there's 2 parts of the game. There's the multiplayer one, which is pretty much, they've got the multiplayer module. They just need to flesh out the universe. Mm-hmm. And then there was the single player game that they promised. Mm-hmm. The single player game is at this point God knows where, because the team communicates like crap. Mm-hmm. Everything else has just been going on, and they're still dragging their feet. Roadmaps have been next to non-existent. It's been I can't even remember how many damn years it's been so long since this thing has come out.
I'm gonna look it up real quick. You keep ranting. I'm gonna look it up.
And it's been going on so long, and hearing $400 million. I mean, hold on. I'm going to look up real quick here what the budget of Cyberpunk 2077 was. Just, just out of,
Yeah, it's not even gonna be close to that. I don't think.
yeah,
Star Citizen originally started on December 11th, 2015.
yeah. Yeah, so 6 years of,
6 years. Yeah.
6 years, you know.
Yeah.
According
So
to the article, okay. So they actually did surpass Cyberpunk because the studio had budgeted 316 million for
yeesh.
Cyberpunk.
Yeesh.
Yeah, that's according to I believe Screen Rant. Let me double check that.
Well,
Yep.
I mean, it's overtly successful.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
and
like whether or not the morality behind it is there.
well, it's successful, but it doesn't exist
Yeah.
in any tangible form. Like I didn't back the Kickstarter, and when they started all this stuff, I said, "Look, I'm going to wait till it comes out." But at this point, I don't even want it when it comes out,
Right.
because at this point, it is so long in the tooth, and all we keep hearing is they're taking in more and more money, and most of that is through ship sales for a game that has not released.
And it has no
Officially.
release date. That's
Yeah, it
the other
has no
thing.
release date.
That's the other thing I do want to talk about here, and I'd like to get to center on that a little bit too, if we can. It has no release date, and it has no roadmap. And personally, that's one of my biggest issues with some of the early access, beta, alpha, whatever you want to call them, games, is when they don't have that roadmap, when they don't have that specified release date or anything for you to look forward to. I think that's almost criminal. Like, so you've got a game that's not released, but you're
Yeah,
making money off of it.
Yeah, and
Like, that's insane.
people can play it. There's content creators making content on it.
Mm-hmm.
They're trickle feeding in stuff for the multiplayer. But again, this was supposed to be a two-prong project.
Right.
Much like Cyberpunk was supposed to have an online one, which is supposedly probably kaputs at this point.
Yeah, never happening.
They've clearly done the online one and they need to expand it more. But the freaking single player that they promised, which, mind you, was supposed to have returning voice actors of Mark Hamill and a bunch of other people coming in on it, which have been confirmed.
Right.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There was probably a trailer a few years ago, and that's all we got.
Okay.
And
So your thoughts on it are it's amoral, basically.
it's in one end it more highlights the problems in the industry overall. It is almost like every
Okay.
communication problem, every overhype problem we've seen, everything we have seen of, the only thing they haven't done is here's a release date, we're going to keep delaying it. They have actually avoided that by just not giving a release date.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I understand. And the thing is, the longer this goes on, the technology is going to keep moving further and further and further.
Yep.
And what worries me more is as it continues, you're going to end up in that Cyberpunk situation where do we have a dev team that is developing this thing going, well, the new hardware's out, so let's upgrade. So let's keep pushing it. Let's keep doing more and more and more. And they're more focusing on that than actually getting a product out.
Well, and Star Citizen is interestingly positioned to be possibly the first game ever to make that much money and never actually release.
Yeah,
Which I think is one of the biggest problems here. I mean, and if you look at, there are game companies and games that do this kind of thing right. I'll point out Grounded. Grounded has been incredibly successful with their beta and early access project. They've given us outstanding roadmaps. They've been very communicative with us. We don't have a release date yet, but that's okay because we constantly see where this is going. Whereas Star Citizen kind of leads you in this void, this kind of like weird space, just kind of floating around, waiting for answers while you're spending money on stuff that you're not even sure are going to matter in 3 to 4 years, which is a little bit terrible. And personally, if it was me, I think that we need some regulations in the beta early access kind of area.
Yeah, well, and the problem is, and this is where my look of early access. So I think I said in a comment earlier in one of the other episodes about Bloodstain as a
Right.
Kickstarter one. So the thing is about that differed it from other games that were, early access, kickstarted, whatever, was
Right.
the creator blatantly came out and said, I have private investors. They need proof.
Right.
He literally said it in the Kickstarter video. He's
Right.
like, we actually don't need this. I could go out and get private investors, but this is more to show them there is interest in the game.
Right.
Now, years ago, when Kickstarter started becoming a thing, there used to be a podcast called Webcomics Weekly. No longer exists. It was Scott Kurtz from PvP and a few others from other webcomics. I think the creator of Evil Inc. and
Right.
I can't remember. But Scott Kurtz put it best with Kickstarter. Kickstarter is the ultimate pre-order system.
Right. Right.
And it's like it for smaller developers, Kickstarter, early access, all that is great. Because it shows them there's interest in the game, and in some cases it gives them more of a budget than they had
Right.
to do the things that they wanted to do.
Right.
Star
I think that's great
Citizen-
for smaller companies.
Right. Star Citizen is trying to be a AAA title
Right.
while doing the indie thing. And the problem is they've earned at this point clearly AAA money,
Right.
but we haven't gotten anything
Any
other
real
than
progress.
a continual alpha or beta or whatever it is now, for the online.
Right.
We haven't seen the single player. We haven't seen the, this, that, the other. Every time Star Citizen pops up in gaming news, it's either look how much money they're made, or people are pissed and wondering what's going on, or
Right.
some entity is investigating them for something.
Right. Right. Yeah, and
And-
that's true. That's true.
It just, oh my god. And I admit, I play Elite Dangerous now and then. Mostly I'm a little bit off of it because the recent with the Odyssey expansion done by FDev, which almost did the same thing, where the expansion was supposed to come out, I believe, originally.
Isn't that the
in
one
fall.
where you could actually land on the planets as a character?
Yeah. They
Yeah.
finally gave us space legs in Elite. The problem was they released it way early, charged full price, and people were clearly like, "Oh, this is having performance issues. Oh, this is having this. Oh, this is. Did we just pay $60 for a beta?"
It sounds like 2021. Any game that came out in 2020 or
Yeah,
2021.
and it was like,
sounds like that.
But at least I have to give FDev credit. They released the game.
Right. Right. They
It
have
has
a
an
release date.
official release date.
And really, the problems of a buggy or shitty release is a conversation for another day, which we've gotten into on the podcast many times.
Yeah.
But the beta early access thing, I personally think, I mean, even though this was like a Kickstarter first, that's a little bit different from the early access or whatever.
Yeah.
But you get this on Steam, you get it on you get it on a service provider, and I think those service providers need to start putting better, implementing better safeguards for betas. I think right off the bat, if you're like Steam, hold on one sec.
Well, here's
Sorry, I
the
ate a lot of pizza for dinner.
No, that's fine.
I think if you're Steam, you go, all right, if you want to be early access, that's fine. You need to submit a roadmap or a release date every 2 months. And if you don't submit, you submit a release date, we'll stop bugging you. You don't submit a release date, we need to see a roadmap every 2 months. We need to see something like that to show us that you're working towards it. And maybe they also put safeguards in where it's like you have a limited amount of time that you can be early access on those platforms before maybe they start hey, we're going to shut you down.
Here's the thing. Star Citizen is not available on Steam.
It's not?
No,
I did not
it's
know that.
Star Citizen is, I just looked on Steam. It's not there.
I'm looking for myself because I don't believe you. I think that's so crazy. I'm
Yeah,
sure you're
it's-
right, but I have to see it for myself. That's
RobertSpaceIndustries.com is where you can go to get Star Citizen.
Holy shit. So it's like its own entity at this point.
Yeah, it's literally this own weird entity that
Holy
exists.
shit. That's fucking crazy, man. That's absolutely crazy. That's crazy cakes. It's like it's like a digital pyramid scheme almost. That's fucking insane. I
Yeah.
did not know that. I did not know it was its own
Yeah,
anime.
and that's one of the reasons why I'm looking like, what the fuck? You know,
Like
I,
it's not even policeable by anybody. Then it's just literally just a website.
yeah,
Wow,
it's well,
that's
they're hold on. So Cloud Imperium is the developer,
right,
right?
right.
And the two games that you're listing is Star Citizen
Mm-hmm.
and Squadron 42.
What's Squadron
Squadron
42? I've never heard of that.
42 Squadron 42 is the because this game was supposed to be like one big thing. There was the Star Citizen multiplayer, and Squadron 42 is sort of the Wing Commander successor, spiritual successor.
Okay.
That's supposed to be, embark on the cinematic single-player adventure in the Star Citizen universe as a rookie Navy combat pilot, and get to know your crewmates aboard a massive capital ship while deciding how to overcome challenging missions and deadly enemies. Yeah, okay, that's almost cut and paste every
Right. Right.
frickin'
Right.
game. It,
Man, that's insane. That's insane. That's
yeah,
insane.
and it's
right.
and then they have a public. Apparently, they have a publishing. It's like they have this full studio, and there's nothing. Let me look at the latest news. I'm just curious. Cloud Imperium Games to open new video game development studio in Manchester, UK, in 2022. They haven't released a game, and they released.
They have that much money. They got $400 million.
Jesus Christ!
That's crazy. They have so much money they can buy new studios, and they've never even released a game. That's fucking insane, man. That's insane. How?
Hold on. August 8th, 2021, Cloud Imperium Games signs lease agreement. This is direct off their website.
Right.
For new office space in Frankfurt.
That's insane, man.
Like,
How is
what the fuck is going on?
I know. This sounds like a crime somehow. Like I feel like somebody should have investigated them. This is crazy. That's crazy. I mean, okay. Well,
I'm hoping this is. I'm hoping. Yeah.
we got to step away from them then, because they are truly
I
a
don't. Hold
unique
on. I
case.
don't know. I'm hoping. I'm wondering if this news is real. That's the problem. I'm wondering if this is. No, this is marked in years. Let me check here. Comparing a 10-year lease for 3,000 square rental space in one mixed-use development. The 190-meter landmark tower is currently under construction. And this was in April.
Insane.
Oh my God! What is going on?
That's insane. I thought it was bad. I thought it was bad that Cyberpunk. I thought it bad that Cyberpunk was buying studios and building new studios after having such a absolutely terrible.
So here's a fun fact. So I just talked about the signs a lease agreement, right?
Uh-huh.
That was in April of this year.
Right.
Okay. The next article on their thing, Cloud Imperium financials for 2019, was December 23rd, my birthday, of last year.
Wow.
What the hell?
Wow. That's crazy. Like that's I
Counters,
feel like I'm discovering this in the moment.
Subscriptions?
Subscriptions.
The subscription line is the value of our subscriptions using standard exchange rate. I what?
Are they calling Star Citizen
there may be a subscription service with this. I don't know.
Okay.
At this rate, how much money they're freaking making, I'm wondering.
That's insane. That's insane. I can't believe more people aren't pissed about this. Like,
oh no, there have been people who have been incredibly pissed. Like, the problem is,
but there's not enough.
The original Kickstarter people, a lot of them went to it because there's been no game released in any reasonable window. But the problem is Kickstarter's not refunding the money because Kickstarter's like, there's clearly development. This isn't a dead thing. Sorry.
I mean, you can't refund money when you're playing the game, unfortunately. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right. This isn't Artel Saurian and Mechton Zero where, they because of Cyberpunk and the sudden push for their company to have to do Cyberpunk Red and everything else, they had to drop that project and and go.
You can't go that deep nerd, man. You can't go that deep nerd on a. We don't have enough.
Sorry. But
you're going too deep down. I know there's like at least half of them were like, wait, what the fuck is he talking about? MechTown? I don't know what the fuck.
Well, it ties into Cyberpunk 2077.
Right,
Cyberpunk 2077 being based on the original tabletop game Cyberpunk 2020, which was published by R. Telsorian.
Right.
MechTown's another by them. But it like, what the this is what.
Yeah, that's insane. That's crazy. I mean, I think we got to move away from them because they're kind of like so specific at this point. I don't even know if we can really discuss them in this subject anymore.
Well, and to go to another early access, more AAA title is actually Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay, all right. That's a good one. That's a good one to talk about.
That one, I bought it. It's a good game. Unfortunately, it's clearly not complete.
Right.
That one, though, I'm going to point, I'm more curious because since it's a D&D license, I'm more curious if there was pressure from Hasbro Wizards on the company.
I mean, do they have a roadmap at least?
They do have a roadmap, and they've actually been communicative, and they're actually very, and where their company is located, they've also, being more European, have had a lot more lockdown issues and other things to deal with. So people are kind of a little more understanding, but there's also more of a product to play, and they're clearly regularly updating it.
Right. I think early access with like story games is extremely strange. Like, it's one thing when you're like playing like a weird survival game or free to play. Like, early access tends to lend itself a little bit better to those kind of like competitive shooter battle royales or like a survival game. But when you get into the story, it's real weird because like I can't imagine wanting to pay like for a game that's only a third of the way complete. Well, if I'm playing narrative,
it depends. It depends. One, it depends on the type of story. And two, it depends on the type of game. So, story-driven ones where there's multiple paths, you can easily release, especially in a smaller indie sense, you can easily release one that has a clear, one clear path. Where there's, things where it's like, okay,
but
this
that's
is still
crazy
under
to me,
development.
though. That's still crazy. Yeah, but that's still crazy. Like, I couldn't imagine. Like, that would be like somebody selling you Sherlock Holmes, but only the first like 3 chapters. You know what I mean? Like, and then hey, come back 3 weeks. We'll have the rest of the chapters done. Like, that's insane to me. Like with the survival games, at least it's like Grounded. Like, Grounded has kind of a narrative, but not really. And like, there's still stuff. Like, you've got this whole world you can interact with. It's not like you're missing anything. But with like a narrative-driven story, it's like, we're gonna tell you some of the story to be continued. Maybe it happens. Like, that's insane.
that like Baldur's Gate 3 was funny because there were points where one of the big things they pointed out was like, we're not going to shy away from more mature content in the form of relationships,
right?
And those cutscenes were, I don't even think they're still available yet. Still, if you do them, you get the audio, but it still says under construction.
Oh no. No. And that's the fucking scenes? That's the fucking scenes is what you're talking about? Could you imagine being a horny dude or a horny lady playing the game and you get to the scene and it's just like under construction, you don't get shit? Oh, that'd be
I think you can still look this up. I think it's still in the game. When you hit the point of the game where you can't continue any further, like you hit the main story point where you're supposed to continue on.
Right.
It actually goes to a live-action movie of the head developer.
What?
Like, going through the cast, like, it's all still in the work, guys. We're working on it. It's all,
That's so fucking weird. That's so fucking weird.
It's so weird, but at least I applaud them for the creativity.
Yeah, I guess I give them that. So what are your thoughts on early access, just as a general concept? Star Citizen, specific games out of there. Do you think we need stricter regulations on early access and betas, or
no? Because
is it Wild West?
I think we need to hold to the Wild West. Sadly.
Okay. Why do you think that? Because I disagree.
The problem is every time you slap a regulation like that on it. Because this does help the smaller indie people. they have to adjust to that. And if you don't
Okay.
regulate it right at all, which most times they don't,
Well, that's true. I give you that.
it turns into something that becomes more harmful than helpful. And the bigger companies are still going to find a way around it.
See, and while I agree with what you're saying, I do agree with what you're saying. I also think that there is a critical mass limit where the bigger companies are going to figure out how to exploit this, and once they figure out how to truly exploit this, the indies will get pushed out of it anyway, and that's kind of a bummer. So I think there's got to be some sort of happy medium we find in this area, and I don't know necessarily the solution because your point's right.
See, the problem is the indies are filling what a lot of the studios used to do years ago,
Right.
which was they had their budget division.
Right.
They had those smaller groups working on smaller games that they were releasing for cheaper, or it's like, okay, we know this is just going to end up in the bargain bin, whatever. Which is ironically where a lot of those 90s series that we know and love came out of. There were a lot of them that weren't AAA titles. These were budget ones from unknown studios that just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, even games like PUBG and Bluehole, I mean, it's beta. They were making a ton of money, but still, it was
and we remember
in the beginning.
Like, we're old enough to remember the days of like Rockstar and Blizzard, like classic Blizzard, not the shit show it is now. That's a whole other one we'll get into in a bit.
Oh boy, is a shit show! It's a shit show.
Did you hear about the big three?
The big three.
Nintendo, Xbox, and Nintendo, Xbox, and
PlayStation.
Yeah,
they're all like reevaluating.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that in a second. We'll get into that. We'll get into that down when we get into the conical.
Okay.
I
like how you're planning my podcast now.
Sorry. Well, we're talking.
We're gonna get into that in a second, everybody.
Sorry, we're doing what we normally do.
Sean's gonna be like, I think we can move on. Pause.
Well, no, you know us. We end up on tangents.
Yes.
So I'm trying to back onto the main.
No,
thing.
we had a lot of time because our fan traction was incredibly small.
No.
That's why I haven't like wrangled it in.
The indie studios are fulfilling that right now, and I think if you do that, they're going to get hurt.
Okay.
And the big thing, like if you compare Star Citizen, this is why I don't consider Star Citizen an early access game.
Okay.
Because early access games still have to come with a pretty much full product. You know, even what I'm saying with Boulder's Gate, everything is there. They're not adding, they're adding a couple extra classes, but the core mechanics are all in there. There's a playable enough story up to a point.
You're really riding a line on there, though. Like, I see what you're saying. Like, it's a playable game. But, still, you're really riding a line. Because a lot of these things have added classes. They've added entire mechanics. They've added entire map sections. Like,
really. Well, they've added map sections, but, they've added new classes. But on
Baldur's, but Grounded's added 5 or 6 more mechanics since their beta stuff.
Yeah.
So, there is... and I'm not trying to totally shoot you down. I see what you're saying, but there is a level where they do add some of those mechanics later that completely change the way the game plays.
Well, also you got to take into account Grounded's not a AAA studio.
Yes, it fucking is. Are you fucking kidding me?
I thought it wasn't.
It's fucking Obsidian, man.
Oh God, yeah. Okay, never mind then. Yeah, no. Then they're doing
no way.
I'm sorry. For some reason, I thought.
It's a small. It's like a small. It's a small group inside of Obsidian. Like it's not a huge.
Well, that's the thing. It's probably not a small group anymore because it probably shot past the expectations.
It definitely did.
In their case, they probably released it thinking, okay, this is just going to be a small title. We'll hit a point and say it's done. And what happened was it overshot, and they're like, oh, all that other stuff we had planned, yeah, it's go now.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's what I think's happening with Grounded. Star Citizen just is like, okay, you've claimed you have what you have, and I think the most they've added is, well, we have FedEx missions now. We can take a box to another place.
Yay. Yeah, that is real weird, man. It is real
Yeah,
weird
and
that
it's
thing has
like,
made so
you
much
know, and
money.
even Boulder's Gate, like, yeah, it's early access, but again, I don't know how much pressure from a third party involving a large license was putting on them,
Right.
to be like, hey, we don't know if this is going to work, so they pushed it into early access to prove people
Right.
want it, and
Right,
therefore,
right. I mean, there's a
you
lot of
know,
reasons for early access.
you know,
I get it. I do want to point out the hilarity of the fact that we definitely moved away from Star Citizen, even talked about moving away from Star Citizen, and your hatred brought you back.
yeah,
That's a very Zach thing. That's a very Zach thing,
yeah,
man. It's the one problem with this show is it's like two Zachs are talking. This is two
So
angry
about
assholes.
CD Project Red sucking a bit. No.
Yeah, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Burn that fucking company to the ground. No people inside. I'm not a monster, people.
I,
All right. Why don't we move on? If you
yeah,
wanna, if I mean, we're still pretty early. If you wanna do a second talking point, I'm okay with it.
yeah,
As long
no,
as we don't
no,
spend too much time on
yeah,
it.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
no problem.
All
Yeah, we're
right.
good.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right. So we're gonna do a second talking point impromptu. And we're going to talk about one of this podcast's least favorite and most talked about subjects because Sean has a lot to say about it, and I decided to do a topic based on something he has a lot to say about. So, Blizzard Activision, they suck ass. Sean?
Oh, wow, thanks. So, for those of you who have been following the dumpster fire that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Blizzard Activision and the waste of
Excuse me.
human space that is Bobby Kotick.
Oh, it's the worst. Absolutely the
And
worst.
by the way, to correct you guys on one of the ones, I was the one who actually brought up the insulting human dildos thing.
Oh, was it you?
Yeah, that was me in a comment going, "Sir, please,"
Yeah.
uh, please. Dildos have a use, and by some people, they're considered medical devices. Bobby Kotick is nothing like that.
Yeah, he's an
But
awful person. I have some choice words
yeah,
about it.
oh
Definitely.
yeah, no. Given the situation of what's come out,
Mm-hmm.
what has been surprising is, despite PlayStation's own problems,
Yeah.
which is their own lawsuit
I
issues and
mean,
stuff
they're
right
all
now.
fucking having problems right now, honestly. Other
Um,
than like Xbox and Nintendo, they're all having some weird
well,
fucking
but
problems.
that's what surprised everyone was we knew PlayStation America's head and Phil Spencer both did internal memos,
That's right.
basically stating, "Hey, we're looking at what's going on here because this is not right. This isn't right, and we're
I do
reevaluating."
want to
And
talk about this in a second, but keep going
yeah,
because I have some things.
is reevaluating. But then a few days later, Nintendo of America apparently did an internal memo, basically saying the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
they are looking at their relationship with Activision and everything else because of this situation, and mostly because of the news that has come out about Bobby Kotick and his involvement in all of this.
Right.
Um, and frankly, that is shocking to see the big three consoles suddenly all trumpeting the same thing,
It
even
is.
despite what's happening with PlayStation and their own
Yeah.
discrimination
Yeah. That
lawsuit and
aside.
everything else.
That
You
completely
know,
aside.
um, it's amazing, and I think at this point, all it would take is Steam. At this
Yeah.
point, to
Yeah.
suddenly go, we are reconsidering our relationship with Activision, to watch Bobby Kotick have to bow his head out.
All right. Can I go ahead and be really cynical for a second?
Oh, yeah, I don't think he's leaving. Don't get me wrong.
No, that's not what I'm going to be cynical about, and I'll probably take a little flack from this.
What?
But whenever stuff comes up, I always take flack, so it's fine. First of all, something that bothers me about this. First of all, I am all for Bobby Kotick getting fired. I
Yeah.
want to just let everybody know too. I don't know that we ever touched on this, just because of the stuff that, like, this information came out when all the passing of Kevin happened. So I don't think we ever touched on this directly.
Yeah.
But it has come out directly that Bobby Kotick had knowledge of the sexual abuse within his company. I want to say right now, shitty work conditions, one thing. Sexual abuse, unacceptable. knowledge of sexual abuse, unacceptable. And the fact that the board of directors have backed Bobby Kotick is, I don't know, unconscionable. I don't know more terrible words to say. However, it feels like I should invent some, but I don't have that in me right now. But the cynical, and so what happened after that? Yeah, give me a sec. What happened after that was the big three, just like you said, have released internal memos, but those internal memos are that they are reevaluating their relationship with Activision. They haven't pulled any triggers. They haven't put any, sanctions, so to speak, for lack of a better word, on Activision. They haven't requested Activision fire Bobby Kotick. They have not said, we're not going to put your games on our console anymore. All they have done, and this is the cynical part, all they've done is CYA. And that's something that bothers me on two fronts, because A, they're CYAing, and I hate to say this, but I see more self-preservation in this move by them than so much actual action. Much like everything Activision has done, which is here's a little money, maybe we'll give you minimum wage, stuff like that. That's my problem with this. Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation. You are not doing enough. If you want to get into this battle, if you don't want to just keep your mouth shut, then get into the fucking battle. Sanction them. Say, we're not going to sell your fucking game on our consoles next time. We're going to dump your contracts. Actually make tangible threats. And then that will get my blood going for you. That'll get me on the hype train. But right now, all you've done is CYA. Cover your ass. And I don't specifically enjoy that. Don't get me wrong. I am not cheering for Bobby Kotick. I'm going to make that very clear to everybody. I want that son of a bitch to go down hard. I want him to go down so hard that I want the other companies to nut up and deal with it. And on another fucking front, I'm very afraid that all this heat is going towards Activision and Blizzard, and we're forgetting about all the heat everywhere else. There's a lot of shit going on Ubisoft right now that is not good. There's the PlayStation thing that's going on, but everybody's looking at Blizzard, and I'm very afraid that once Blizzard does get bombed out, everybody's going to go, hey, we fixed the game industry, and then it's just going to be moving on, status quo. And that is a serious problem here that we're not addressing.
I get it, but there's also the other end of it where the biggest target is Activision. PlayStation, you can say whatever, but they're the biggest target. They're the one that if you take... Uh-oh.
Uh-oh?
Did I... No, okay, we're good.
I can hear you. You're good.
Okay. No, my screens just went dark because I hadn't been doing anything. I'm like...
Derailed yourself slightly.
Did my system just explode? Okay, we're good.
Derailed yourself just a slight.
Right in the middle of a thought, too. That would have been bad.
That's how I usually do it.
But they're the biggest target. So the logic is that if you take down the big guy, the others are going to start running.
Okay, but what about this takes them down? That's my big problem.
Well, here's the thing. This is why I said Steam or one of these other platforms that sells their games digitally needs to suddenly step up.
Okay.
And suddenly go, hey, we're your storefront. We're the one who sells your product, and because of this, we're reconsidering. Suddenly, you're suddenly going to see. Having the people the platform is on is one thing, but having the people who distribute it suddenly go, no. That's where it becomes the problem for them. And where the consoles coming in, they're a small portion of it. Because they also sell this through Games Pass.
Right.
They're selling it through PlayStation Store. They're selling it through Xbox Live. Nintendo storefront digitally sells this stuff.
Right.
If they suddenly took action there, that's one thing. We've already seen PlayStation take action against studios. See Cyberpunk 2077.
Right.
Kinda.
Well, that was also very kind of CYA. Although I do applaud PlayStation for not putting it in for whatever reason. That was at least a move. I know
my view of that compared to...
I don't want to go down that road. But I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, but it still feels like CYA. If like analogy time, which
no. To a
everybody
degree,
loves
I'm
this.
agreeing with you.
Right.
It is.
I
But
don't.
I do
If I see a
think
guy, if I see a guy across the street getting mugged, all right, I got two options. I can get involved, or I can just keep walking. But if I just start yelling at the guy from across the street, what the fuck am I doing? Nothing. I eventually have to step in and help the guy, or I have to keep fucking walking. Yelling at the dude from across the street isn't going to work, and that's what this feels like. And if I'm the Activision assholes, and they're assholes over there, they're real fucking assholes.
Well,
you got to get into their head space. They're fucking money-grubbing assholes, and they also are extremely arrogant. I see those memos, I go, yeah, sure, whatever, boys. Until you do something, I'm not doing shit. I already just basically pardoned a sex offender. So, fuck it. You guys got nothing on me. And that's something that bothers me. You got to take action against this. Or just keep on walking. Because it's not necessarily their fight, you know?
Again is the key word, corporate. So you have corporations, there's contracts involved, there's other things. Right. This is as corporate speak goes, this is the I'm throwing down the gauntlet, but I'm not doing so in a way that, you can automatically turn around and try to slap me back. That's what this basically was.
Okay.
It's also because they're internal memos. This was also internally to the people in their organizations going, yeah, we can't do this.
Okay, but you could very easily. I see what you're saying, but you could very easily structure those memos to be much more threatening than it was. So, like, let me toss one out. Instead of saying we are reevaluating our contracts with Blizzard, you could say, if Bobby Kotick is still employed at Blizzard, we will no longer be renewing the contracts from this day further. You can't get nailed by that. You can't get slapped by that. There's no legal recourse for that because you're literally just going to let your contracts expire. Yeah. That would get people moving way harder. It's the difference between yelling across the street and pulling out your phone and saying, I'm dialing 911.
Well, that's the problem is, Kotick's a scumbag, so who knows what fucking subclauses and other shits in those contracts. So
that's true, but still, like, you could make it a little bit better worded so that it's not coming at you.
Well, that's, in one word in law can change everything.
I know. This just feels very. This just feels very. Hey, you guys, stop it! That's what this feels like.
Yeah, in one way, and because the thing is, like, to be perfectly honest, having one of your big publishers having to go to that extreme, no one wants to go the nuclear option, and that's I think the industry is trying to do right now is prevent the nuclear option. The problem is with all the evidence, and there'll probably be more at this rate. If it keeps coming out, they may have no choice but the nuclear option.
Well,
so this was partly me. This is partly, I think, the companies covering their own ass, but they're also covering their own ass if they have to go nuclear.
Yeah, I still would really like to see the good guys have some balls for a change.
Oh no, I agree with you.
And that's
agree
something
with
that
you,
really.
But, like,
I know you're agreeing with
me. The world we live in, unfortunately, this is how they're playing the game.
I know. I saw a lot of like real happiness and rejoice about this, and while I get it, it is a something blow to Activision. I'm not arguing that. I want to see the good guys fucking go after the bad guys for a change, instead of the bad guys making all the fucking moves, and they do, and that's aggravating to me. Just once can we have the good guys be like, you fuck with me, I'll fuck you up. Like, why can't we do that? When you're
dealing with big companies, you really have bad guys going after bad guys.
Well, and that's true. I'm not arguing that, although I'll say that.
I'm going to say it right now. The places where that's going to hurt Blizzard the most, and they're starting to see that, is in their sales,
right?
In
to our knowledge.
Into subscriptions to World of Warcraft, which are down and are continuing to go down.
Yeah, but do you really think that's in response to sexual abuse?
Actually, in a lot of it,
not to be crass,
because unfortunately, what's happened with a lot of this will lead into the other thing about World of Warcraft.
Oh, okay.
one of the big things a lot of critics have said, longtime players critics like Asmongold, and these are people who've streamed WoW for a long time, have said, is the game has been crap.
Right.
And when this came out, Asmongold put it best. The game is crap because you have cubicle crawls, because you have people scared for their jobs. You have this. This is leading to a shitty game.
Right.
If you can't see that this is leading to a shitty game, you're on copium. You're sitting there. Well, you didn't say you're on copium, but the point is, it's like you're pretty much, you're blind to the fact that it's like this is what made the game shitty.
Right.
It's the fact that the atmosphere is this crap, and the point is people are finally getting to the point of fed up with what the product is that they're starting to walk away. And they were already starting to walk away before. Now it's accelerated. And because of games like Final Fantasy XIV, which are much better and have a development team that is, dear God, UGP, that man, every game developer should look at that man and go, that's what you should be.
Yeah.
It's like he's a fan of his game. He plays his game. And he doesn't play it on a closed network. He plays with the public.
Right.
Yeah. He knows all this. And what's going to start happening is if those sales figures start coming in, Magic Bobby isn't as magic as he is anymore.
Yeah, but
as for the board, yeah, they're backing him because they're all Bobby's friends.
Right.
He put them there.
Yep.
So
the only way to get rid of him is to go shock and awe.
Right. Well, that's the point is until the companies actually decide to go nuclear option, which could be like this is the closest we've seen to a nuclear option in the industry.
Yeah,
ever.
but it's still so dilapidated. Okay, all right.
A
couple of counterpoints before we get back into that talk in circles. Number one, while I see what you're saying about WoW, I honestly don't think WoW is the draw for Activision that a lot of people think it is. I think Activision makes their money off fucking Call of Duty. That's where they made their money for years. That's where they're gonna make their money for years. That's the truth. And as long as Call of Duty is coming out, they're making money. Number two. While all evil corporations are bad guys versus bad guys, I agree. To my knowledge, no one is getting raped in Xbox or Nintendo. And that's what I meant by good guys versus bad guys. Like, these guys aren't good guys, but let's deal with rapists, Like, and that was my thing on that, I don't know. I want bigger from this. I'm sick of people pussyfooting around this shit, And while this is cool, we haven't seen something like this. This hasn't equaled anything. No change, no nothing, other than the fact that people like Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo better. That to me almost equals these companies taking this opportunity to make themselves better PR. And that would bother me if they were trying to actually capitalize on this. And that's where the cynicism of me comes in, because this isn't nuclear enough or shock and awe enough to actually have any weight. All it's doing is garnering more support for them, and that makes me feel a little. That makes me a little bit worried that their hearts aren't actually in the right place.
Their hearts aren't in. I'm going to say it now. Their hearts aren't in the right place. They're looking at their bottom lines. And the reality is that they want to put pressure on Activision, because the point is the sooner this gets cleared up, and in a way that the company actually does change, or at least appears to change, which is the more cynical view of it, is the sooner that they don't have to worry about problems every time, or the games media or anyone coming at Activision anytime there's any little problem.
Yeah, but it doesn't hurt them.
Which then starts affecting their sales.
It doesn't start affecting their sales. That's the problem. It doesn't start affecting their sales. They don't sell WoW on Xbox or Nintendo or PlayStation. You can only get WoW on PC. They sell Call of Duty. And nobody is going to stop buying.
Drastic down. They're continuing going down.
And I bet you it'll be
Actually,
up.
the last one has gone down.
I bet you it'll be up next year because nobody will care anymore. And that's my problem. Or this gets fixed. I'm not saying that that's not a viable possibility, but I'm much more worried that they're like, hey, we're not going to lose anything by saying we're going to reevaluate our relationships with them. We're going to gain a bunch of PR. We could keep still selling their games. Fuck it. Like, and that is what's bothering me about the situation is I see it way more calculated towards Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation trying to make their own shit better without actually even remotely touching the problem. Like, if what you're saying is true, that's good, because even though it's money-based, they're trying to fix the problem. Yeah. Because they want to, like, fix their revenue or whatever. I don't think revenue's gone down enough for them to care. I think they don't give a shit about that, and all they care about doing right now is bolstering their PR, and if that's what they're doing, that's shitty.
Yeah, no,
So we'll have to see. It's like a time will tell thing. But I'm just on a very
definitely a time.
It's
definitely a time will tell. But it's more of this is also just more of a shock that it's like all three of them.
This is true. It is still a big moment. I don't want to take it away from it.
It's a big moment, and that's the big thing here. Is it's like, you know, how badly did you have to screw up when the three of them?
That's true.
Three sides have to even act even in an eternal memo.
Yeah.
You know,
you gotta violate
take this action.
You literally have to violate basic human rights.
Right, that it's like they have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And that's the big takeaway. Is like these guys are, at least, even if it is in the cynical end of it, you know, and I'm a very cynical person.
Yeah, I know.
Is purely corporate, you know, save their own asses.
Right.
But again,
I mean, really, this entire talk point has been a cynical off.
Yeah. The game industry is shit.
Right. It's like, who's got it right on how bad it is? But
right. And, you know, but like when it comes to, you know, and you're right about Warcraft, it is on PC, but it's also, you got to take into account where Call of Duty is, we release it for a year, we get whatever for the DLC. That subscription model is consistent. That's a consistent flow of income.
It is, but I don't think anybody less is playing Warzone.
Their numbers actually went down with the recent release.
Yeah, but their numbers went down because they made shitty changes. And I've talked to Warzone players. So, like, that's the thing. Did it go down because of this shit, or did it go down because... But, we keep talking in circles at this point. I think we both have good points. I think we're going to move on to odds and ends, though, so that we don't go too long. We did get a full show out of it, though. So,
yep. I told you. I told you we'd do it.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to odds and ends, our final segment of the show. This is where we collect smaller news stories that don't necessarily deserve full talking points, and we just read them off so that you guys can know them, riff on them a little bit, that sort of thing. Now, as I have already mentioned, Sean had 3 hours of preparation tops. Well, a little bit more than that, I think, but still, he didn't have time to come up with odds and ends. Neil, obviously, had some stuff he had to do, so I am alone in the odds and ends, but I have 5, so I'm just going to read them off. Say a couple of things, then let Sean put in his 2 cents, and we'll just move through them. All right, so number 1, this is kind of a crazy one, in my opinion, but Battlefield 2042, which is just a fucking ridiculous game. I could rant about that game for hours on end. It is now officially the most played, worst reviewed game. It has terrible reviews on Steam, on everywhere that it's on, but it has the most players right now. Guys, this is my 2 cents. If you want games to be good, you have to stop playing shitty games. Just saying that. Just saying that. I'm not trying to blame the victim. I get it. But, like, if you want games to be good, you have to stop playing bad games. It's just the fact. It's the fact of life, man. It's the fact of life. You got anything to add to that, Sean?
Counterpoint. It's the Battlefield effect. Unfortunately, Well, it's unfortunately it's the Battlefield effect here.
Okay.
It's to the point where everyone knows this is what happens with Battlefield games. They come out, they are really buggy, they have a bunch of problems, and then Battlefield has a very good track record of fixing their shit.
Yeah, kinda sometimes. I mean,
And
the
it's one of those
Battlefield
things where
5 did not fix its shit. I'm gonna say that right now. It did not fix its shit.
no. They don't fix it right away. They'll, in about 3 months, it will be fixed. This is the cycle all Battlefield games take. It's like how Bethesda games are supposed to have bugs. If that cow is not flying, you're not doing it right.
I do not know if I can get on board with this counterpoint. I don't know if I can get on this boat.
You
with
are
you.
a fan of Skyrim. If your horse can't climb a mountain,
All
it's
right.
not doing it right. Okay?
I do like Skyrim. Skyrim. Can I say something real quick about Skyrim though, which will surprise
Most
probably
overrated
you
game
and
of all
everybody
time.
else? What?
The most overrated game of all time.
No,
I mean, what?
not the most over. Oh my god, I don't have enough show to. I just want to record myself now running down the street to get to your house to punch you in the face for saying that. You fucking kidding me? I can hear you laughing so hard. You can't even get the laugh out. It's just like the fucking dog from the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. No.
It's the bacon of gaming at this point. They put it on everything. It's on freaking Alexa. Jesus Christ, let it die.
Sean, shut your fucking mouth right now. All right. Well, I agree with you on the let it die, or at least stop charging for it. I agree with you on that. We ranted on that. It's not overrated, though. That is never the word I would use for Skyrim. I will say this, though. I never encountered any bugs. I know it's crazy and weird, but, like, everybody talks about all the bugs in Bethesda games, and every time I've played a Fallout game, I've encountered shit tons of bugs. But I never encountered any bugs in Skyrim, and I've played, like, easily over 300 hours. Never encountered a bug. I don't know how I did that. Honestly, I think it's a miracle.
Okay, off the Skyrim thing, back onto Battlefield.
Sure.
The thing is, some of the bugs were annoying. Like, if your head was next to something, you couldn't revive something.
Right.
Okay, that was screwed up. But there were funny ones, like the hovercraft being able to scale sheer buildings.
I'm gonna go.
That's the thing. It's like some of them are actually just hilarious bugs, and you just gotta go, okay, this is happening.
The
But
minute this is over, I am Googling hovercraft bug in Battlefield. That sounds amazing.
It's because they overpowered it for some reason, and somehow it registers the buildings as ground. So it's just there's footage. There's every once in a while you get footage of one of these things just scaling the side of a building. Like what?
Priceless.
It's like there's things like that are kind of like, okay, that's someone screwed up with a line of code there, But like, there's some annoying ones. But the other problem is, I'm sad to say, we've done it so long with this, release game patch later aspect that we're no longer in it. And I'm sorry to say, this is the sad state of things.
Okay, we can't talk about that. That's a whole talking point. We got to move on. You're trying to set fires, man. I told you between the breaks.
I know. I'm sorry. You know me.
Spend a ton of fucking time on this, and you're like throwing hand grenades into the first odds and ends. You're like, Skyrim's overrated. This is the sad state of games. What the fuck are you doing to us, man? Jesus Christ.
Okay, go.
All right, going to the next one. The next one, still more depression. I mean, it's a lot of depression on this one, guys. Just keep that up. Keep that in mind. They finally are releasing the PlayStation exclusive Spider-Man for Marvel's Avengers, which is somehow still a thing. And get this, ladies and gentlemen, that DLC. That DLC comes out with no story DLC. Basically, they give you like a couple weird, not even full animated comic book cutscenes of like, hey, Spider-Man's here now. And then he's just in the DLC. That's it.
Did they spend all their money on the Black Panther expansion?
I mean, they did put a lot into the Black Panther expansion. They really did. They put a whole new world into it and everything.
What's worse is And what's worse is he's a PlayStation exclusive.
No,
He will
wait. Are you talking about Black Panther or Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, keep going. Sorry.
he's a PlayStation exclusive only.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's because of the gaming contracts they have,
Yep.
unfortunately,
Yep.
which is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, but
It's annoying.
that's why.
I hate exclusivity. We've talked about it so many times on this podcast. I think exclusivity is one of the biggest downsides of gaming and the biggest challenges to gaming right now to overcome. And it seems like even the companies that were moving away from it, like Xbox, are now moving more into it, which is just a fucking nightmare. Stop making shit exclusive. Just let anybody play the game. I mean, it doesn't make you any more fucking money. It makes you more money to put it on more places. It just
Spider-Man,
makes more sense.
Sad to say, Spider-Man's part of the. Well, Spider-Man's probably still a casualty of '90s Marvel. So,
and that's true.
Because when they were piecemealing the contracts out, so there's still a lot of issues because Spider-Man is pretty much owned by Sony as a whole.
Well, and I'm less mad at the Spider-Man exclusive because I've said put some exclusive stuff on your thing if you want to be exclusive. It's just as far as games goes, you make more money selling it on more places. It's just common sense.
Oh no, that one I always agree with.
Yeah.
But that also may explain why they didn't put much effort into it because they just were like, okay, just put it out so that we delivered it to PlayStation so that no one else really complains.
Well, and some people have speculated.
Spider-Man, they'll complain they didn't get Spider-Man, but when they see the fact that it didn't have a full-blown story and this, that, the other, they're not sitting there going, look how much content we missed.
Well, and they would have gotten more shit. I think also part of it, and this is tinfoil hat going on the head, I almost feel like somebody said they were going to have Spider-Man, and they kind of had the rights to have Spider-Man, but they never, agreed to it, and then, everybody was like, where's Spider-Man? Where's Spider-Man? And they're like, oh, you guys aren't going to forget about this, are you? That's what this kind of feels like. Well, here's fucking Spider-Man, I guess.
Well, that's Square's pretty much even admitted they screwed up with Avengers.
They did. What's sad is I played quite a bit of it. I actually enjoyed a lot of it. The problem is there's just some No, we can't do this. You're doing it again. Hand grenade in the fucking middle of the odds in it. All right, we're gonna move on to the next one.
I did not lob that one.
We could do a whole show on Avengers because I have so many I could get bullet points of how you'd fix that game in a year, and nobody will listen. But okay, let's move on. Next one. This was a little bit happier depending on where you are on the fence with video game adaptations to shows, but apparently they are in development for a Mass Effect TV show to premiere on the Amazon Prime network. The big
wow, that was an emotion of noises.
that was tricky. I thought I was talking to Tim Allen from Home Improvement for a second there. The thing that bugs me about this is Mass Effect, and this is something that has bugged me over and over, and I've said this 1,000 times with things that are adapted from video games to TV, and why I don't necessarily think video games should be adapted from video games to TV, is that the whole awesomeness about video games is the player choice. Even in an incredibly narrative-driven, story-based game, there is still very simple choices like, do I jump here or attack here? And when you're doing it your way, you're playing the character in your way, and the minute you see somebody on a big screen playing it in a completely different way, it detaches you from what made it awesome in the first place, which was your interactivity with the content or the story that was presented to you. Nothing is more like that than Mass Effect. Mass Effect is all about player choice. Who do you romance? What do you do before you go on the missions? Where do you put the people in the suicide mission so they don't die? Who dies? How do you move forward? The dialogue options, that was the bread and butter of Mass Effect. Honestly, people, which I am not one of them, I like the first. I am a first fan all the way, even though nobody else is in the world. But the first, people say the gameplay isn't even good, but the reason they stayed was for that interactivity. So, how do you do a TV show that has a very specific, beginning and end, and give people that nostalgic moment? And I'm not sure how you do that.
Okay, well, I'm going to forward this by. I'm not a fan of Mass Effect. I
Okay,
know.
that's
Um,
fine. You don't have to be.
mostly because when I played the first one, it was just like, okay, it's the same thing I've seen in a lot of other games. It's just a shinier paint job. A lot
I
of
would
illusion,
I would
a
argue
lot of
that, but I'm
illusion,
not gonna.
but we're not going to drop that one.
Right.
Um, that's
I
a whole other
definitely
argument. It's on
disagree.
its
Yeah,
own. We will disagree
I
on that one.
definitely disagree strongly. But
So
continue your point.
when an adult game can make fun of your ending, there's a problem.
Oh
Um,
my God! Don't
the
start this fight. You keep coming back. I keep saying
I,
move on, and then you like
I'm
take
gonna
another little passive aggressive
anyways,
shot.
God,
I'm gonna
poop
fucking go
you.
crazy here. You son of a bitch. Agree to disagree. What's your
I
fucking
do
point?
do agree. But here's the thing: I will admit about Mass Effect, and this is a thing I think that if they do it right, it could work.
Okay.
The universe is huge,
Right. Right.
so you don't bringing in the stuff that we know is one thing. Doing something else with it is another. So the point is, they can keep that story of Shepard and that completely separate from the show.
Yeah.
And if they take what was created in that world and run with it, it could be an interesting sci-fi concept.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a
If
really cool sci-fi
and
world.
and that's why I was laughing with when I heard the adaptation. I was like, and then also it's just like, but it's Amazon.
Yeah.
Because Amazon Amazon tends to, do it right for the most part.
Not bad. I mean, I
There's
definitely
been a
trust
few,
the
there's been a
streaming
few,
service a little bit better.
yeah. Compared to Netflix, I'm willing to give
Right.
Amazon a better shot because they've had a couple adaptations that have been a lot better than
Yeah.
what Netflix is. My only concern is that the series will just become, hey, remember this thing? Hey, remember this thing? Hey,
Right.
this thing,
Right.
which is the trap that a lot of them fall into.
One, it's even bigger
So,
trap for Mass Effect because did you punch the reporter or did you not? Because if you didn't punch the reporter, and he punches the reporter, you're gonna be pissed. And if you do, you
well,
know what I mean?
again,
Like it's one of those situations. If you do go to the side story, and
well, have they given a pitch yet?
no, there's no pitch.
Okay,
So
so
it could be a side story. But
well,
the
that's what I'm
problem
saying.
is what like if I'm looking at this as a studio exec, they're gonna be like, you're pitching me a side story off this, like I don't know that draws those people's attention. Other than the characters who have been marketed. I think you're right. I think a side story can totally work. I think a side story is the way to go with any video game movie. It's just usually they're like, well, we've got to make the main thing. Like we got to make Master
Well,
Chief because that's what
it,
people
it
know.
depends on it depends on the video game.
Right.
So the point is, a more linear story you can more adapt, to a more direct with the characters, etc.
Well, I'll refer
Since
you back
Mass
to my
Effect
own
is
character,
yeah,
my original thoughts. But
yeah,
yes.
yeah, but Mass Effect, because it is a role playing game more, and because the character is more of your creation,
Yeah.
even though it's voiced and everything.
Right.
So elevator pitch here. Imagine a Mass Effect game that you still have the Citadel, you still have all that, but it's another N7 agent,
Okay.
and it's what they were doing during the whole Reaver War. Because
Absolutely awesome.
that if they do that would sell.
I'm totally with you. I just don't know that the studio exec would agree with us. Is the thing, and all for it if they do. If that's the pitch, I'm right there first in line. It's just I'm very afraid we're gonna get a show about Shepard, and I don't want that.
Yeah, that's. But anyway, next place so we can.
Moving on.
Yeah, we gotta move on.
We've got an insane mod bounty out there. Did you hear about the Breath of the Wild $10,000 mod bounty that is both insane and stupid at the same time?
What?
Okay, all right. So, and I did not put in my notes the actual YouTuber that is offering this, but it is a serious reward. But they have offered a reward to anyone who will mod Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, give it a multiplayer mod. And they have offered them $10,000, which I just want to say might seem a lot to us laymen's. It won't even cover the cost of the work going into a mod like that.
YouTuber Point Crow.
Point Crow. Thank you. Thank you.
as
Thank you.
reported by
I
IGN.
knew it had Crow somewhere in it. I just didn't want to say
Point Crow.
just
For
Crow. Yeah.
10,000 referring, you could successfully create a multiplayer mod for
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But it was just a funny piece of news that I had to share. Like I said, people have already pointed out that like the amount of time and effort you'd have to put into this wouldn't even be covered by the 10,000. Wouldn't even be covered by the 10,000 by like a tenth. You know.
Well, if you've ever met the mod community, they're crazy enough to do it.
That's true. That is true.
Two, why though? Breath of the Wild, I cannot like. Okay, so Skyrim, I could see possibly having multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
Breath of the Wild, why would you do multiplayer?
I'd be okay with it.
It doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't fit the story at all.
Who cares about the story? There's not even really any story to Breath of the Wild. There's no real story to Breath of the Wild. I'm sorry. I'm sure I'm getting hate out there, but there really isn't. They drop you into a place. They go, hey, you got to save the princess, and you don't remember anything, and Ganon's over there. Bye. And then you just get to explore and do shit. Like, the story is like non-existent here. It wouldn't be hurt by another player in there. And I will say this, there are players out there, there are people out there who don't really like playing games by themselves. They like to play games with other people. Case in point, one of our foundation members, Philbilly330. This is a game he would absolutely love if I could play with him, you know, or his buddy Filthy Phil could play with him, you know? Like, I think they are put off by just the fact that there isn't a co-op mode in this, and that might help them. Although, again, I don't foresee this happening. It's very hard to mod a game like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, dear God,
$10,000.
looking at some of the stuff I'm looking up here on YouTube, let's see. Play as Samus in Breath of the Wild. There's one for a tiny wizard.
Oh. ATW, if you're listening, get on that mod. How do you download mods for Switch, though? Do you know how to do that? Do you have to jailbreak it or something?
I don't know. But yeah, there's a bunch of crazy mods.
Honestly, that was the first thing I thought was like, how do I mod Breath of the Wild? Because I can't buy it on Steam. Like, that's the first thing I thought. Was like, I don't know how I would even do this.
Yeah, so it's like, and there's been mods where people have put in, you know, Zelda as a playable character. There've been, but like I said, the thing is, to answer your thing, is the story unfolds as you explore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it would make no sense where it's like one character has a memory of you know, that's clearly Link. it's like what? What's going on here? You know, it's like,
I mean, but
if you do it just purely on a
there's
just
another
like
Link there.
Mechanical mode.
Yeah,
that's fine, but like, I just don't understand why people would want.
You jump into somebody else's game, you're helping them with progress. They jump into your game, they're helping you with progress. They go through whatever you go through, and then you explore around together. I think that would be really fucking cool, honestly. Yeah. I'd be alright with that. Honestly, I'll tell you this. Aside from the story elements, the world that Breath of the Wild presents is the best part about Breath of the Wild. I would love, like, I don't want to say an MMO, but just like to be able to just drop like a Red Dead Online version of Breath of the Wild where it's not necessarily any story, but you just get to run around the world doing stuff. That would be fucking awesome.
That would be an MMO. And I know people kind of put it this way. MMO just means massively multiplayer online.
I mean, that's fair.
It could be anything. Like, technically Call of Duty is an MMO.
I will never agree.
Battle Royales are an MMO.
No, they are not. You are being ridiculous, sir.
You know,
you're out of your mind.
But unfortunately,
what are you trying to get sound bites here? Fucking crazy, man. But call fucking Battle Royales or MMOs. You're a nut job. All right. Let's move on. You're just dropping grenades everywhere, Sean. That's what you do. All right. All right.
Don't worry. Just wait for the comments of this one. Who the fuck is that guy? Why is he here? I'm going to murder him.
I don't think you'll get anything bad, man.
It'll make your Monster Hunter Rise review look like a cakewalk.
No, I don't think so. I don't think anything would be as bad as that unless I like post a video that said Monster Hunter Rise sucks. You can all suck my dick. All right. So last one. Dragon Age 4. if anybody out there was expecting that to ever come out, just stop. Dragon Age 3 was the last one. It's done. Just don't worry about it. Stick a fork in it. Delays and delays and delays. They've never given release dates. We've only had announced trailers. And now the creative director of Dragon Age 4 has suddenly left BioWare over creative differences. So, c'est la vie, guys. Dragon Age 4 is out of there, man. Shoot it out a gun. And honestly, I think there is a bigger problem with BioWare. They are in danger right now. They are really in danger. If somebody's asking me, they've got a serious IP problem.
Kind of agree, but unfortunately, given the state of the industry, we've seen too many creative directors leave, and they'll just charge ahead. So,
well, and that's fine.
We'll see what happens because Dragon Age makes that money.
That's true. But Dragon Age 4 was announced, 5 years ago at this point? It's falling into the Elder Scrolls 6 category of, not before you die.
According to Star Citizen, it should take 20 years to make a game, so it's...
Right. That's true. All right, so that's it for the odds and ends. We're going to head over to plugs and wrap this thing up.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. So, C-Town 1980, first of all, I'd like to say thank you so very much for, on short notice, coming on, doing the podcast. Even though you really like to fight with me on some things. It's all in good fun, good spirit. I really appreciate, man, taking the time out and jumping on to help us out.
Hey, no problem, man. Skyrim's still overrated.
I will fucking murder you. What the fuck? It's not overrated. God damn it, Sean. Overrated. Stop.
And I know I'll never be on the show ever again.
You'll never be on the show again if you say that shit again. Jesus Christ. You know it's not overrated. That's what bothers me. You know enough to know it's not overrated. All right. It is not overrated.
I'm not. Jesus Christ.
You're just being an asshole.
I'm not. I could go into it, but this is not what this is for.
Do you want to promote something, you son of a bitch? Because now's the time. You wasted all my goodwill. I'm over here thanking you, and then you're like, Skyrim's overrated. Hee. Fucking dick.
By the way, Zach, did you check the gun store down the street?
Oh, God. No one's going to get that other than Danny if she listens. Promote something, you fucking prick. I know you have something.
Okay. Laughing too much here. I stream casually on Twitch TV /CTown1980. You can catch me there from time to time when I actually do decide to stream. Things have been a little hectic in the real world, so I haven't had much opportunity. So, other than that, that's about it.
C-Town 1980 on Twitch, and I tell you what, he's a great streamer when he comes on, and he actually plays Red Dead Online with me a lot, and just about any time I'm streaming Red Dead Online, I'm probably playing with C-Town 1980, so just so you guys know. And then back to our stuff, and this is a big one. This is a big promo, guys. Big promo. It is time. It's that time of the year again for the Horrible Game Awards. That's right. Third annual. Tons of fucking extra work for me, which is going to suck. But the third annual Horrible Game Awards, we are going to be, of course, recording it sometime in December and getting that out. But right now, we are nominating things. So if you have any nominations that you want to put in there, you want to get out there, put it in the comments below, put it on Discord Lounge. Now, how it works is the foundation members, myself, Philbilly, Tiny Wizard, get the most votes when it comes to actually deciding things. Then we also assemble a committee. I try and pick a person of all different walks, basically. I try and be completely all way crazy, and it's usually about a 10-person committee who also helps nominate. They also get slightly more votes. However, any votes that you make, if you are not on that committee, are counted. So what's going to happen is if you have anything you want to nominate, do it now. Get it up as fast as you can. If you have And once I post the list, which will probably be posted like I think on Thursday, it's December 2nd, Friday. Once the list goes up on Friday, for 1 week you will be able to vote on it and vote in each category whatever you want to win. Okay? Just to go over real quick, we also do our main 3 categories are Experience of the Year, which is our main one, Single Player Game of the Year, and Multiplayer Game of the Year. And all of these do not have to be year specific. They just have to have received a sizable update within the year that we are doing it. So, like, example, Streets of Rage 4, totally legal on all of those because of the Mr. X's Nightmare DLC. So whatever your best experience is, as long as it is a game that received a large update in this year, feel free to nominate it. And that's what makes our award ceremony way cooler, because we're better at it than the Game Awards. So please, and then at some point that show will come out. I'll also probably release a video with all our nominees in it.
So does that include Skyrim, the Anniversary Edition?
Yes, you could. This is kind of weird because this year you could actually renominate Skyrim in any of those categories because it received a sizable update. Which is crazy, which is fucking crazy to think about, but it's still there. It's whatever the player's experience is. So whatever your experience of the year is, as long as it's relevant, should be considered. So like another one, Hades. Hades came out last year. It was great. It was a lot of Game of the Year awards last year, but it's actually viable this year because it just came to Xbox and PlayStation. So feel free to nominate under those things. We also have a best narrative. We also have best new IP. That is specific to this year. We have best performance. And just so you guys know, if you want to nominate a performance and you don't know the actor's name, just put up the character from what game, and I'll figure out what the actor was. And we need nominations for that category. We really do. And then we also have best soundtrack. And I think that's it. I'm probably missing one, but there you go. There you go. So please check that out. Go to our Discord to really monitor things. And yeah, other than that, you can check out everything we have to offer here. We've got Stellar shows coming out. We got Preludes coming out. We got all sorts of stuff coming out. Yeah. And I got a ton of streams going live and all sorts of fun stuff. So you can check us out on Facebook. You can talk to us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH. You can check us out on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. The link will be in the description below if you're watching this on YouTube. And then, of course, if you want to follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/OldManGamingTH. And guys, gals, as long as you keep watching and listening, we'll keep making them. Thank you one more time to C-Town 1980. We'll see you guys next time. Pause. All right. So, good topic. You knew we were going to do it.
I know. I was sitting there going, we're going to get into an argument and go in circles. I know us.
Yeah, definitely. And I know Neil at home, when I said it was going to be a short episode, was like, it's not. It never is. He's always the first to say that. Nope, not happening.